Okay, so good afternoon, everyone. No? And welcome to week 2 of our course in educational management. Today, we'll explore the legal foundation of educational planning, the very framework that gives our school authority, direction, and accountability. Of course, no? Uh, so, educational planning is in the Philippines is not just a matter of vision. It is anchored on specific laws and issuance that ensure quality and equity across all levels of education. So we will examine three key pillars, no? The Republic Act 9155 or the Governance of Basic Education Act of 2001, the implementing rules and guidelines of DepEd and TESDA, no? And CHED Memorandum Orders that shape higher education. So understanding this legal basis help us future administrators make decisions that are not only strategic but also fully compliant with national policy. No, to guide us through this important discussion, let us all introduce our presenter, uh, your fellow my educational management students with a keen interest in school governance and policy alignment. So today, he or she will present the legal basis of educational planning, focusing on RA 9155, DepEd, and TESDA framework in CHED issuance that together shape the Philippines education system. So let's give a warm welcome to our presenter. Go ahead, ma'am.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Before I start, may I request Ma'am Charmaine to lead us a prayer? Ma'am Charmaine, are you around po?
Yes, ma'am. Bye. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Let's put ourselves in the holy presence of God. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this opportunity that you have given us. Thank you also for the life that you have shared with us and the learnings that we're going to learn and gain and can be applied in our daily lives. We lift up everything to you, God, most especially our desires, our passions, and even affirmations, God. And thank you for everything that you have done for us. Today, we pray that um, will be everything will be successful in your gracious hands. This we ask in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Okay, again, good afternoon, everyone. Before I start, let me introduce my name. Again po, my name is Bael Serafia A. Ulama, and for today, I will be reporting with Sir Kanaway. Let's start with my topic. My topic is about Republic Act 9155 and the Department of Education or the DepEd, where Governance of Basic Education Act of 2001. So my topic will also view the overview structure and its impact. So in this topic, this presentation is about Republic Act number 9155, also called as the Governance of Basic Education Act of 2001, and how it shaped the Department of Education. This law was passed to make education in the Philippines more effective, learner-centered, and community-driven. So, say for example, in a classroom setup where every decision, say for example, yung pag-buy po natin ng chalks or fixing the chairs just like the traditional, it must first go to Manila because before po, hindi po division ang nagbibigay po. Kailangan po ipagpaalam po siya sa Manila bago po ito ma-approve. But then, nagkaroon po tayo ng Republic Act 9115 where system work before RA 9115. The law changed by giving schools more authority to act quickly and responsible. So instead of going to Manila to report things like this, meron na pong pinadali. So, pwede na po yung school, then division na po. Kaya po nagkaroon tayo ng MOOE. Okay, next slide. Why RA 9155 matters? So, under Republic Act 9115, 9155-2000, the Governance of Basic Education Act reorganized the Department of Education and decentralized decision-making, strengthened school-based management, and accountability for learning outcomes. So RA 9155 matters because, yun na nga po yung sinabi ko, because it addressed the old problem of centralized control. Before the law, decisions were slow, no, since everything had to go through the national office. So, but then, Republic Act 9155 reorganized yung DepEd and gave more decision-making power to schools and local educational offices. So, binigyan na po nila yung mga divisions natin. The decentralization meant school could act faster and of course respond student needs more effectively. So if a school runs out of chairs under the old system, they might wait yung approval from the Manila, tapos bago po nila nabibili yung, or maghihintay pa sila ng ilang buwan. So by means of having this Republic Act, mas napapadali yung mga shortage natin. So the school division office can act right away to fix the shortage. So kung napapansin nyo po, yung DepEd natin ngayon, mas pinabilis na siya compared po sa unang, yung mga traditional natin na hinihintay pa, most of the time pa, hinihintay natin na umaabot pa siya ng 1 taon. Kaya po, nagkaroon ng 9155 po na Republic Act kasi doon po nakasaad na hindi na po kailangan magpaalam sa national. Meron na po tayong school division which will act yung mga shortage po natin. Now we have here legal basis. Wait lang po. Paliitin ko lang yung... Ayan. So, legal basis and purpose of RA 9155. So, defines basic education. Napapaloob po dito yung early childhood, elementary, and secondary including ALS. So, yung early childhood po, yun na po yung tinatawag po natin na kinder and preschool. Elementary, yun po yung elementary central schools, elementary, and then secondary. Papaloob po dito yung ating high school, which is composed of 2, the junior high and the senior high. Include na rin po dito yung ating mga ALS. Next one is ensure access, equity, and quality of basic education. The next one clarifies the role of the national office, yung regions po natin, divisions, districts, and schools. So, RA 9155 defines basic education to include, yun na po yung sinabi ko, yung kindergarten, elementary, secondary, and the alternative learning system for out-of-school youths and adults. So, pumapasok na po siya dito, kaya po nagkaroon tayo ng ALS. The purpose po nito is to make sure na every Filipino has to access quality and equitable education. And of course, it also clarifies what the central office, region, division, district, and schools are responsible for. Say for example po, if an adult who didn't finish high school can continue because of the ALS. So of course, thanks to RA 9155, kasi nga po, nagkaroon po ng chance yung ating mga nag-stop ng school na mag-continue pa rin po. Pero, they have to pass certain tests bago po sila ma-promote po kung saan po sila nababagay. Say for example, if yung ating nag-stop po siya ng ilang taon, so ipapasok pa rin naman po siya sa grade 7. Say for example, grade 7 siya. Ipapasok po siya sa grade 7, pero throughout that school year, may assessment siyang gagawin to pass. Kung mapapasa niya po, automatically mapopromote po siya kung ilang taon yung napass niya, ilang taon yung kanyang na-stop. Meron pong mga schools, ang usual po na nakikita natin na ganito, yung mga schools na rural. Which is yung mga school na rural po, sila po yung sometimes nag-o-offer po ng ALS. Kasi po sa province namin, yung elementary school po sa amin, meron po silang ALS. And automatically po, after po nun, ma-promote na po sila kung saan po sila nag-stop. So for example, kung grade 7, siya nag-stop, tapos 3 years siya nag-stop, parang may assessment, hindi siya parang, may assessment para mapunta siya doon sa ilang taon siya nag-stop. And next one is ang key principle under RA 9155. So, decentralization and empowerment of field offices, school-based management or the SBM, and shared governance. Napapasok po dito yung ating transparency, participation of stakeholders, and accountability. And of course, focus on learner-centered education and outcomes. So sa number 1, ang decentralization, ito dito yung power is shared. Nasi-shared po siya. Power is shared with regions, divisions, and schools. So, if I'm not mistaken po ngayon, wala na pong district. Parang, di ko lang po alam sa ibang region. Pero ang alam ko po, wala na pong district kasi papasok na po siya sa division. Parang sa amin po kasi ganun nung nag-teach ako sa volunteer teacher sa Kwan, wala na pong district. Parang lahat ng problem sa division na siya, didiretso, and then yung division na po ang bahalang mag-submit sa region. So parang school, tapos division, tapos region. And ang school-based management naman, yung school led their own improvement. Yung school po, magkakaroon po sila ng sarili nilang improvement without asking from authority coming from Manila. So yung school na po mismo yung gagawa ng kanilang improvement kung paano nila papalaguin. Kaya po nagkaroon po tayo ng MOOE or mas dinagdagan pa po yung ating finance. And the next one is yung transparency and accountability where yung stakeholders are informed and results are measured. So dapat po i-inform pa rin po yung stakeholder natin sa school. Actually yung sa DepEd po kasi more on recognition. Pag sinabi natin recognition, nare-recognize pa rin po natin yung mga matataas to inform them na ganito yung, say for example, may improvement na gagawin. You have to pass certain profile para po ma-check nila kung nagma-match po. Doon po pumapasok yung transparency na tinatawag. Next one is yung learner-centered education natin where it focus kung ano yung students needs to learn. Pag sinabi natin yung learner-centered is yung matututunan ng bata. Actually, sa part ko po, yung learner-centered na tinatawag is ina-apply po ito ng teacher para po yung estudyante ay mas matutukan. So, say for example, if a principal notices students struggling in, say for example, reading. So, under SBM, yung sinasabi po nating school-based management, yung school can create a reading program with community volunteers instead of waiting for a certain or the central approval. So, pwede po tayo, yun na po, pwede pong magkaroon po ng mga volunteer. Usually sa mga rural po ito, magkaroon po ng mag-volunteer na magbasa. Nung time po ng pandemic, I also volunteer to help yung sa area namin na makapagbasa yung mga estudyante kasi house to house. So say for example, kung ikaw ay nasa area nang hindi masyadong marunong magbasa yung mga bata, pwede mo silang puntahan to help them to read. So that is the key principle under RA 9115. Again, decentralization, school-based management or the SBM, the transparency and accountability. Yung number 4 is yung learner-centered education. So let's proceed to the next slide. DepEd mandate after RA 915. So DepEd mandate after RA 9155 is to formulate and implement policies for basic education. So say for example, it supervises yung elementary and secondary, both public and private, and ensure quality standard and curriculum where teachers development and assessment. Say for example po, yung ating yung DepEd creates the K-12 curriculum where they train teachers to deliver it, yung seminars po natin, and monitor schools to ensure quality teaching sa buong Pilipinas. So have you noticed po, meron po tayong yung quarterly na pag-a-assess sa teacher on how they teach, yung mga lesson na i-prepare nila para sa teaching nila, or yung classroom inclusivity nila. Pumapasok po yun siya sa DepEd mandate. So again, formulate, implement, and coordinate policies, plans, and programs for basic education. Pumapasok din po sa DepEd mandate after RA 9155 yung classroom. Bakit po? Kasi po ang target po talaga ng DepEd ngayon ay mas mapaganda yung ating classroom setup where every students ay makaka-feel ng they're at ease to learn. Hindi mainit, hindi crowded. Yung teachers po natin, quality magturo kasi yun naman po talaga, that's the goal of the DepEd to prepare the future generation for the profession na iti-take nila. So next one ay so let's proceed to slide 6, yung ating DepEd organizational structure high level. So number 1 is the central office, where central office of the secretary and bureaus and services, or the services, where it means yun yung nagsiset ng overall policies. The next one ay actually ang pagbabasa po nito mula siya sa baba. So let's start with baba na lang. So first one, before ka mapunta sa school division offices, sa school level muna. So under school level, school heads lead SBM, school improvement planning, stakeholder engagement. So school heads, yun siya yung nagda-direct to manage learning and community involvement. Saka po papasok ang school division offices. So sa school division offices, direct support to district and schools. Yun na po. So kaya po nawala na rin po ang district kasi instead of yung school level dadaan pa po sa district, didiretso na po siya sa this school division. So HR and finance functions. So it is handled day-to-day support for schools. And then next one, after the school division offices, puproceed po tayo sa regional offices. So under regional offices, where policies, implementation, technical assistance, and monitoring, of course, ensure implementation and give support. So once na napasa na po ni school division, sila po next yung papasa sa central office, yung mga technical assistant. Pag sinabi natin technical assistant, bago po nila yun ipapasa, si school division po magsisend ng ganito po kay regional offices, imo-monitor po muna ni regional offices yung pinasa ni school division kung babalik po sila sa school division, school level to monitor kung totoo ba na ganito. Actually, last week, nagkaroon po kami ng visitation from division pero wala na kaming regional. Siguro probably yung division approve siya agad ng regional offices. So, hindi na po kami binisit ng regional offices. So, yung ipapasa po ni regional offices, didiretso po siya sa central office. Where central office is the office of the secretary and bureaus and services. So, sila po yung nagsiset ng overall policies. So, say for example, if a school needs a classroom, the request start at the school, then goes to division, then to the region, and finally to the central offices for funding approval. So pag na-approve po, so great news po yan, yung pundo po ay pupunta po balik kay school level. So again po, so ito po yung organizational structure ng ating DepEd, central office, regional offices, pero start po tayo sa school level, school division offices, regional offices, and then central offices. Okay, next slide. Okay, rules and responsibility naman po ng ating education. So, of course, let's start with the school heads. Pababa naman po ito siya for high-end po. Pero start po tayo sa baba. Okay. Start po tayo sa taas. Okay. Rules and responsibility. Let's start with the Secretary of Education. So, Secretary of Education, overall leadership, sila yung nagsiset ng national directions and standards. National leadership and policy setting sila. And then, bababa po tayo kay regional director. Since yung sa amin po ay nahati into 2 division, Maguindanao del Sur and Maguindanao del Norte. So ang kanilang character naman po is to oversee yung implementation, provide technical support to SDOs. So ano bang SDOs? Papasok po dyan yung ang ating school division superintendents. Manage division, ensure curriculum delivery and school support. So ang BARM po ay nagkaroon po ng sarili nilang policy pagdating sa pag-aaral. Nagkaroon din po sila ng sarili po nilang learning materials. So, ang division superintendent natin, sila yung nagdi-direct manage schools under their division. So, next one is ang ating school heads, lead instruction and operation, manage resources, and engage community, where led teaching and learning, manage resources, and build community support. So, say for example, kapag ang ating secretary orders a national reading program, if I'm not mistaken po, until now ginagawa pa po sa public schools yung ating PhilIRI. PhilIRI po, yun po yung assessment ng pagbabasa. Regional director, yun na po, magti-train ng teachers, division superintendent, monitor progress. So, yun na po yung PhilIRI na tinatawag, and school heads to implement daily reading activities. So, per area po, may papabasahin po yung bata. And then, magkakaroon po ng PhilIRI. So, may 3 set po yung PhilIRI. Yun na po yung first grade, kung nakakabasa na po ba yung bata, mabilis na po ba mabasa yung bata, slow reader, and non-reader. So, ito po yung mga rules and responsibility ng ating mga nakaupo. Again, Secretary of Education. Next one is yung regional directors, school divisions, superintendents, and of course, the school heads. If I'm not, sa school heads po, yun po yung ating principal. Okay. Let's proceed to school-based management or the school-based management or the SBM. Bullet number 1 is empower schools to manage resources and make context-based decision. Whereas it talks about kung ano yung improvement. Sila yung magti-take charge ng improvement ng isang bata or ng isang school. Requires School Improvement Plan or the SIP and Annual Implementation Plan or the AIP. So, sila din po yung nag-encourage sa ating parent, LGU, and community participation. Sa community participation po, dito po papasok pati yung LGU. Dito po papasok yung Brigada Eskwela na kasali po yung ating mga mahal na magulang. So, ang example po nito, a school that performs poorly in math uses result from national test to design a math remedial program leading to say for example po, pag meron pong school-based management, yung context-based decision, pag yung estudyante po, medyo mahina po, makikipagtulungan po tayo sa parent po na yes, tinuturuan po natin sila, but the parents should monitor as well sa bahay. Pag may mga free time, yun po, papasok po doon si parents. Let's proceed to the next slide. DepEd reform in context. So K-12 program, kinder, so nagkaroon po tayo ng kinder plus additional 2 years of basic education. Next one is curriculum standard, competency-based assessment, and teacher development. Alternative learning system or the ALS, and inclusive education initiative. Okay, under RA 155, open the door to reform like the K-12 program. So, ako po ay isang K-12, first batch po ng K-12, which extended po no, ng basic education to 13 years. So, kinder plus additional 12 years. It also strengthened yung curriculum standard natin, yung assessment, at saka nakakatulong din po ito para sa teachers development. And of course, papasok po dito si ALS, where ALS was also enhanced for out-school learners. So say for example, ang best scenario po dito, kapag ang student gusto pong mag-work after K-12 or after high school, masasabi po natin after high school kasi pag-graduate po niya ng grade 12, nakagraduate po siya ng TVL. So, ang TVL po, ang strand niya po ay TVL. So, natuto po siya along the way sa TVL ng pagbibake. Say, for example, pagbibake, no? So, learning skills like bread and pastry, making, and can already earn after graduation. So, instead of going to or continuing college, yung natutunan niya after 2 years, say for example, yun na nga, nag-TBL siya, may choice siya to continue. To not continue. Makaka-earn na po siya by actually learning yung 2 taon niya na natutunan sa K-12. But then, again, some parents or some people, no, hindi sila nag-agree kasi dagdag lang daw. But for me, as a graduate of K-12, it really helps, lalo na po sa batch namin. Nakatulong po kasi ako, I was graduate Humes. So, sa Humes naman po, mas nagiging broad. Kasi, yung sa 2 years po na yon, parang nagiging review na lang siya pag nag-college kasi may mga subject po talaga na review na lang. Say for example, yung research, sa senior high may research. So after the research, parang mas napapadali. Isusupplement na lang ng college yung research. Dadagdagan na lang nila since you have learned from the 2 years na K-12 or nag-aral ka ng senior high, isusupplement na lang yon ng college. So again, these are the DepEd reforms in context. So let's proceed to accountability and quality assurance. So number 1 is learning outcomes monitored via assessment and school report. So marami na pong nagrereklamo, no? Kasi meron na po tayong mga monitored na assessment. So meron na tayong monitoring and evaluation, which is MAE across levels, so region, division, and school. Use of data for planning, budgeting, and program improvement. So RA 9155 emphasizes yung accountability for learning outcomes ng ating mga estudyante. Of course, ang monitoring and evaluation are done at every level. So yun na po yung papasok yung regions, division, and school, where data is used to make better decision on budgets and programs. So if magkakaroon po tayo ng monitoring, nakakaroon din po tayo ng data. Kung mapapadali na rin po yung pagpa-plan, yung pagbabudget ng pera kung kumpleto po yung data. So yun din po yung kinagandahan ng RA 155. So kung babalik tayo, going back to traditional, yun na nga, it takes sometimes years pa bago maaprubahan yung budget. Okay. So next one ay partnership and stakeholders. So number one is local government units or the LGUs for infrastructure and supports. Next one is a parent teachers association or yun na yung PTS and school governing council, yung mga SBC ng mga bata, ganyan-ganyan. Okay, next one is the private sector or the NGOs and community organization. So, sa ano bang connection nila sa RA 9155? Again, nag-highlight sila that education is a shared responsibility. LGUs, parents, yun na yun, PTAs, and NGOs are expected to partner with schools. So of course, kung ganito, this support strengthen yung resources and involvement nila. Say for example, kung ang LGU donates computer, ang NGU naman, yung mga NGO naman, trains teachers in ICT. Kasi nga, some of the teacher, hindi naman po natin madi-deny na they are not well aware of how to use computers. Lalo na po doon sa mga nauna po natin. Hindi ko naman po sinasabing lahat. Yung mga tradition, syempre mas sanay silang mag-compute ng grade through calculator na lang po. So, nagkaroon na po tayo ng e-class na tinatawag. So, by means of this, at least nalilesen din yung work ng teacher. And of course, ano ba ang parents? So, yung parents help raise funds, allowing student to experience digital learning. So, aside from the teacher na natututo, yung mga estudyante din, kung may pundo po, meron po tayong computer lab. So, mas nagiging aware din po yung mga estudyante natin na mas mapapadali by actually having data to access everything. So, hindi lang po sa cellphone. Meron po tayong laptops, meron po tayong computer, paano gumawa ng, what they call this, PPT, Word. So, yun po ang kagandahan po ng meron po tayong mga partnership and stakeholder. Okay, next one ay impact of RA 155. So, pinili ko na lang po ito. Number one is greater autonomy for school and field offices. Next one ay improve alignment of resources with local needs. Next one is institutionalization of schools and community participation. And the next one is continuing challenges such as capacity gaps, resource disparities, and consistent implementation. So, pag meron po tayo nito, meron po tayong more autonomy for every schools, yung lahat ng schools. And meron po tayong better alignment of resources to local needs. Pag malawak po yung ating resources, mas napoproducean pa po natin yung ating mga local. And then next one is, of course, mas strong na yung ating community participation. Pero, however po, yung challenges natin will remain like resource gaps and uneven implementation. So say for example, kung ang school head can now use MOOE po na tinatawag, MOOE funds to immediately repair a leaking roof instead of waiting for months of central approval. So, yun na po yung MOOE instead of we wait for the fund coming from the national. At least may magagamit na po tayo na MOOE pagbutas na po yung blackboard, pagbutas na po yung dingding, at least meron na pong MOOE. Pero papasok po doon yung transparency. Yung bibili ka ng materyales, kailangan meron po siyang resibo to pass sa school division, ipapass naman po ni school division kay regional, then regional will pass it to the national para po yung pera, alam po kung saan nanggagaling. Meron din po tayong tinatawag na reimbursement of the finances. So, at least po pag may reimbursement, meron pong mas concrete evidence na talagang meron. Together with the photos na nasira, isasama po natin yung resibo doon, yung OR po. Okay, next one is current challenges and opportunities. So, ito naman po, may very crucial, no? Teachers' workload and continuous professional development needs where teacher face heavy workloads. Marami pong tinuturuan or bakit may bayad bakit may kaltas pag late pero pag OT po, wala pong bayad. Okay, learning recovery and foundational skills and strengthening, where student needs, no, learning recovery after the pandemic. So, ang mga estudyante po talaga ay nagkaroon po ng recovery. Lalo na po yung pag ang parents po, no, hindi naman natin madideny ito. We experience, no, na parang nakadepende na lang po yung mga parents natin sa produce ng national na libro. Hindi na po nila, kung ano lang alam ng bata, yun na lang. Hindi na nila sinusupplement. Okay, of course, is the digitalization, ICT integration, and data system. Of course, yung school needs to embrace yung tinatawag natin na digitalization. And resilience, disaster risk reduction, and safe learning environments. So, dapat yung school ay may preparedness na tinatawag. Yun na po yung lindol, earthquake drill, and etc. So, balik po tayo dun sa pandemic. So, during the pandemic, no, some school created community learning hubs with free Wi-Fi. So, sa dati kong tinuturuan, may ganito po. So, learners without gadget could still study. Kahit na wala po siyang yung mga, wala po silang mga gadget, they can also use yung mga computer po natin sa offer na binigay ng national. Okay, next one is practical implication for okay, what RA meant for school. So school heads led instructional supervision and resource management. So yung principal po natin, so for school, ang RA 155 ay principal are instructional leaders. Pag sinabi natin instructional, sila po yung nakikita natin na magiging leader po. We don't see them as taga-utos lang. May ginagawa naman po talaga sila. Mas mabigat lang po. So nakikita po natin sila as instructional leaders. Next one is yung ating SIP, PIS, AIPs, guide, budgeting, and intervention based on data. So sila po yung guide school operation. Okay, next one is engage stakeholder for shared responsibility and accountability. Yung mga stakeholder po natin, LGU, parent, and GUs, parent-teacher, i-engage po natin sila na engagement is required. Kasi, again, nagsusupplement naman lang po talaga tayo. Next one is document processes and results to inform continuous improvement where continuous documentation is essential. Say for example, kung ang school identifies full reading comprehension, they create, yun na po yung sinasabi nating SIP, goal, budget, maghingi po tayo ng budget for storybook, involve parent as volunteer storytellers. Isa na din po to para na rin po matrack yung progress through test. After the parents, magkakandak po ng test, at least to see, no, kung may improvement po yung ating mga mag-aaral. Okay, key takeaways. RA 9155 established shared governance and decentralization, basic education. So next one is DepEd ensures standard while empowering regions, divisions, and schools. Next one is ang effective SBM and stakeholder engagement drive better learning outcomes. So of course, no, sa RA, decentralized education, meron na pong function ng everyone. So, ang DepEd po kasi, ini-ensure nila yung quality standard while schools handle local implementation. So, pag nag-success po ito, Yung success po kasi na ito, nakadepende po yan siya sa SBM at saka yung community participation and accountability for learning. So, best example for this is kapag ang school community works together, uh, yung teacher, parents, LGU, of course, yung school performance po ay tataas. Kasi yung pinaka-kwan lang po talaga ng DepEd is everyone plays a role, not just ang DepEd. So, yun po yung pinaka-purpose ng ang ating RA 9155. Okay, so ito po yung mga references no for further reading. So basahin niyo na lang po Republic Act number 9155, Governance of Basic Education Act of 2001, tapos DepEd Order and Memoranda on SBM and Basic Education Standard, then yung official DepEd website and policy po, doon na lang po natin basahin. So, ang important references po is magbasa po aside from this naman po, meron naman pong mga training. So, pwede po kayong, a teacher can actually search po, no? Kahit naman hindi teacher, can visit the DepEd website. Tapos, download po yung ating DepEd order number 83, series of 2012. So, again, thank you very much po. I will give to Sir Kwan po ang continue ng aming topic. Again, thank you po and God bless.
Okay, we may proceed to the next topic.
Sorry.
Okay, so good afternoon po everyone. So as for the continuation of our report tonight, so before we proceed to our main agenda or main topic, so balikan muna natin, ano ba yung tinatawag nating educational planning? Pag sinabi nating educational planning, ito yung proseso ng pagbuo ng iba't ibang plano, iba't ibang programa, and at the same time, yung mga policies para sa education nang sa ganun is matiyak natin na yung sistema is una, of course, tumutugon sa pangangailangan ng ating lipunan. Ikalawa, umaayon dapat dun sa economic at labor market demands. And yung pangatlo is merong maayos at malinaw na goals para dun sa access, quality, and relevance ng education. So yun yung tinatawag nating educational planning. Now, since we're done with the RA 9155 and the DepEd issuances, now, tingnan naman natin kung papaano naman si TESDA at si CHED. So first, let's have TESDA issuances. Okay, so under this slide, kilalanin natin kung sino nga ba si TESDA. Okay, so sabi dyan, TESDA or Technical Education and Skills Development Authority. So it is the national agency in charge of technical vocational education and training or TVET in the Philippines. So in other words, pag sinabi nating TESDA, sila yung agency na nakafocus dun sa tinatawag nating TVET or the Technical Vocational Education and Training. So sila din yung nagbibigay ng technical vocational courses or trainings dun sa mga taong gusto pang madagdagan yung kanilang knowledge or skills pagdating dun sa iba't ibang technical vocational courses. And yung kagandahan yan kasi once na enrolled ka dun sa TESDA, TESDA, kumbaga meron ka ng allowance. So free na yung pag-aaral mo or yung training mo. And at the same time, magkakaroon ka rin ng national certificates after ng training at after mo mag-undergo ng assessment. So yan si TESDA, free yung pag-aaral at free yung pag-avail ng training kay TESDA. Okay? So since kilala na natin si TESDA, now tingnan naman natin kung ano-ano yung kanilang ginagawang pagpaplano or paghahanda para ipatupad yung iba't ibang programa pagdating dun sa education. So let's go through the major issuances and laws. So let us try to explain and analyze what they mean for TESDA and educational planning. Okay, first issuances. First issuance. So we have here Republic Act number 7796 or the TESDA Act of 1994. So this is the founding law of TESDA. It officially created the agency and defined its roles and functions. So under this one, we have the key provisions. So number one, unifies TVET under one agency, combining the functions of the different agencies before. Second, TESDA is tasked to formulate manpower skills development policies, promote middle-level manpower, and coordinate TVET programs. Third, it aims to decentralize training, delivery, and enhance private sector participation. And then the last one, National Technical Education and Skills Development Plan or NTESDP is required to guide national goals. So yan si RA 7796. Okay, so dati kasi meron tayong iba't ibang agencies na nagpo-provide ng iba't ibang trainings for interested individuals. But during that time, sinabi ni government na why not, pag-isahin natin lahat. Kumbaga, meron tayong centralized na lang na magiging agency. That's why nabuo ngayon si TESDA. So under this law, binanggit dyan, tungkulin ni TESDA na mag-formulate or bumuo ng iba't ibang policies in connection with manpower and skills development. And at the same time, nakikipag-coordinate din si TESDA sa iba't ibang institutions regarding their TVET programs. Next, under din sa law na ito, since nabanggit din dyan, meron tayong tinatawag na NTESDP or yung National Technical Education and Skills Development Plan. So, ito yung mako-consider natin as comprehensive development plan na kung saan na-highlight or talagang nabibigyang diin yung convergence or collaboration ng iba't ibang government units, iba't ibang industries, of course, included dyan yung academe and some organizations for a successful and holistic result. So all in all, to sum up the first law under TESDA, ito yung batas na nagsilang kay TESDA. So sabi ng government, si TESDA na ang bahala sa lahat or sa buong TVET. Kumbaga pinagkatiwala kay TESDA lahat ng technical vocational courses. And dapat meron siyang national plan. And dapat kinakailangan si TESDA i-make sure na kasama yung mga private companies para talagang masabi nating useful and align talaga dun sa trabaho yung magiging training ng kanilang magiging scholars. So yan yung RA number 77996 or the TESDA Act of 1994. Okay, next. We have here Republic Act number 10647 or yung tinatawag nating Ladderized Education Act of 2014. Sabi dyan, this law mandates the integration of TVET and higher education so that the students can move between them more easily. So, key provisions. First one, students can earn credits from TESDA courses and use them when enrolling in college. Supports credit transfer, bridging programs, and recognition of prior learning or yung tinatawag nating RPL. And the third one, requires a unified Philippine qualifications framework or PQF to standardize levels of education. So dito naman, gusto ng batas na to na pag-ugnayin or pag-connectin yung TESDA at CHED programs. Kumbaga, mas madaling makalipat from technical vocational courses papuntang college. So yung tinatawag nating ladderized education. Kumbaga, pwedeng tumawid yung mga students na merong unit from technical vocational courses papuntang college level. So under this law, meron tayong tinatawag na credit transfer. So meaning to say, pwede nating makredit yung units na nakukuha natin dun sa TESDA. So kapag lumipat tayo ng college, hindi na tayo mag-uulit ng mga courses or ng mga courses na nakuha natin under ng TESDA. So tuloy-tuloy yung pag-aaral natin. So yung pag-aaral natin. So nakikredit yung nakuha natin from technical vocational courses, matatransfer siya dun sa college level. Okay, next. Aside from that, meron din tayong tinatawag na bridging para para ma-fill in yung learning gap from TVET to higher education or dun nga sa college level. Aside from credit transfer and aside from bridging, meron din tayong RPL, pinanggit dyan, yung recognition of prior learning. So meaning to say, makikredit pa rin kahit informal or through work experience. And at the same time, mas napapadali yung pag-access sa education because of yung tinatawag nating PQF or yung Philippine Qualifications Framework. So to sum it up, yung pinaka-summary ng ating RA 10647, kumbaga, kapag kaling ka sa TESDA training, pwede ka pa rin umakyat papunta dun sa college level na hindi nagwo-worry kung mauulit ba yung learning na nakuha mo kasi nga meron tayong credit transfer, bridging, and RPL. So, mas pinadali na ni TESDA yung tinatawag nating ladderized education. Okay, so that is RA number 10647. Okay, next. Under pa rin ng TESDA, so we have here the RA number 10650 or the Open and Distance Learning Act of 2014. So this law promotes flexible learning delivery, particularly for individuals who are unable to attend regular classes. So its key provisions include encourages TESDA to use digital and distance learning methods in TVET. Second one, establishes ODL centers nationwide to support content creation, training, and infrastructure. And the third one, students in ODL must receive equal access to materials, support, and assessments. So under naman ni 10650, pinopromote naman nito yung nagamitin natin or i-maximize yung paggamit ng ODL or yung tinatawag nating open distance learning nang sa ganon is mas marami pang learners yung makapag-enroll dun sa program kahit na malayo sila sa school or meron silang mga work or meron silang mga trabaho na pinagkakabisihan. So kasama din sa provision ng batas na ito yung pagkakaroon ng ODL centers sa ating bansa nang sa ganon is para makatulong dun sa program implementation and at the same time dun sa teachers training. Okay, so in other words, yung pinaka buod or summary ng RA number 10650, kung busy ka, pwede ka pa rin makapag-aral sa TESDA. Kumbaga, it offers online learning and distance learning. So meaning to say, hindi mo kailangang pumasok araw-araw. Basta kompleto yung sinasubmit mong requirements sa TESDA. Diba? As you can see, talagang napaka-flexible ni TESDA para makapag-avail na halos lahat ng Pilipino ng kanilang program. Kumbaga, kinakailangan is merong way para maabot ng TESDA yung mga taong malayo o kumbaga walang access doon sa school or busy dahil sa iba't ibang trabaho na kanilang pinapasukan. So that is RA number 10650 or the Open and Distance Learning Act of 2014. Okay. So next naman po tayo, Republic Act number 12063 or EBET Act of 2024. Pag sinabi nating EBET, ito yung Enterprise-Based Education and Training. So under this one, this law formalizes training programs conducted by companies in partnership with TESDA. So its key provisions include, first one, companies can offer TESDA registered training programs in the workplace. Second, trainees can receive certificates or academic credits for work-based training. And third one, must comply with TESDA standards, including safety, duration, and content. And then the fourth one, designed to support on-the-job training or on-the-job learning and upskilling. So ano naman kaya yung tinatawag nating EBET Act of 2024 or yung RA number 12063. Of course, under this law, inaalaw nito na mag-conduct ng mga formal trainings for upskilling once na yung isang institution or once na yung isang company is partnered with TESDA. So meaning to say, yung mga trainees ay makaka-receive din ng certificates or academic credits for work-based training. But before that, of course, unang-una sa lahat, kinakailangan munang masigurado or make sure na makakapag-comply yung partner company or partner institution pagdating dun sa TESDA standards like binanggit dito, like the safety, yung duration and yung content ng TESDA programs. And also, hindi lahat is makaka-enroll. Under this program, hindi lahat is makaka-enroll. Kumbaga, yung lahat ng tao dun sa isang company is hindi sila lahat is papayagang maka-enroll. Kumbaga, meron lang number of employees per company like, let's say for example, so 20% of workers lang yung pwedeng makapag-enroll or makapag-avail nung TESDA programs na na in-organize nung partnered institution and partner company ni TESDA. Kumbaga, hindi lahat ng tao inside the institution is pwedeng makapag-enroll. Meron lang specific percentage ng tao dun sa isang company. Okay, so that is the EBET Act of 2024 or the Republic Act number 12063. So talaga ang pinipilit ni TESDA na ma-accommodate lahat ng tao. Kumbaga nung una, 'di ba, yung before the EBET Act, kumbaga yung RA 10650, 'di ba? Kumbaga gusto niyang maabot lahat ng mga learners or ng mga trainee natin na makapag-avail ng iba't ibang programs for TESDA, and that is because of the ODL, yung Open and Distance Learning. So dito naman, lumapit na ngayon si TESDA sa iba't ibang mga institutions and companies para mag-provide ng training for their employees. Okay, so next, we have here the Republic Act number 12124 or yung ETIAP Law of 2025. So pag sinabi nating EEAP, Expanded Tertiary Education Equivalency and Accreditation Program. So this law recognizes skills and knowledge gained outside the classroom, including life and work experiences. So its key provisions include, first one, allows individuals to earn equivalent academic or TVET credentials based on their experience. Second one, TESDA must implement assessment and validation systems for non-formal learning. And then the third one, supports lifelong learning and second chance education. So yan yung provision or yung nilalaman ng ating RA number 12124. So dito naman sa law na to, yung law na to is para siya para sa mga adults or para sa mga professionals na meron ng mga skills or meron ng mga work experience pero kulang pa pagdating dun sa formal education. So ibig sabihin, pwedeng makredit yung work experience at informal learning ng isang tao equivalent to academic units. So paano yon? Magkakaroon tayo ng standard process pagdating dyan. Magkakaroon tayo ng standard process sa equivalency and at the same time, yung accreditation na tinatawag. And also, part din dyan is yung tinatawag nating assessment. So under this law, kung matagal ka nang nagtatrabaho and then alam mo na marami ka ng skills, so pwede mo na siyang ipa-assess para ma-convert sa college diploma or TVET qualification or national certificates. So no need nang bumalik dun sa basic subjects. Parang yung RA na to is para siyang recognition ng mga na-earn mong skills while you are working. So that is ATEEAP Law of 2025. Okay. So next naman, we have here TESDA Circular Number 021 Series of 2023 or yung tinatawag nating Academic Guidelines for Diploma Programs or PQF Level 5. So this circular sets the academic standards for diploma level TVET programs equivalent to PQF level 5. So its key provisions include, first one, TESDA institutions must follow standard academic calendar. So from August to July, so it should have 200 to 220 learning days. So next, ensures uniformity and quality in diploma programs. So dito naman, naglalaman ito ng iba't ibang academic rules and standards para sa mga diploma level programs or yung PQF level 5 na pinapatakbo ng TESDA at partner institutions. Of course, kung diploma level, yung training of course, kailangan is standardize yung grading system. Standardized din yung school calendar wherein kinakailangan nagre-range yung school learning days natin from 200 to 220 days. And at the same time, kinakailangan is standardized din yung rules na sinusunod natin. So parang sa college lang din, 'di ba? Pero under siya ng TESDA. So dapat pare-pareho yung quality ng mga diploma courses sa buong bansa. Nang sa ganun is walang naliligaw or walang napag-iiwanan. Okay, so that is TESDA Circular Number 21 Series of 2013. Okay. So next, Administrative Order Number 113 Series of 2000 or the Quality and Productivity Integration. So under this one, it was issued by the President to integrate quality and productivity concepts in all education and training. So its key provisions include, first, TESDA must align training with productivity principles and industry needs. Second one, educational institutions must work with industry partners. And third one, TESDA is required to report progress annually. So under this order, dapat daw i-integrate dun sa curricula yung iba't ibang mga strategies when it comes to productivity improvement upang mas maiangat yung kalidad ng labor force sa ating bansa. So other than that, kailangan din ng coordination dun sa industry or employers nang sa ganun is masiguradong aligned yung training dun sa trabaho. In other words, hindi lang dapat natututo ng skills yung mga trainee natin. Dapat daw is productive and at the same time efficient and aligned dun sa industry standards yung training na provide natin para sa mga tao, yung provide ng TESDA para sa mga tao. So that is the Administrative Order number 113 series of 2000. Okay. So to sum up, for the TESDA issuances, as for the summary of the TESDA's legal foundation in educational planning, 'di ba? Naka-focus to sa apat na goals. First goal nila is access and inclusivity. So dapat daw lahat ng mga Pilipino is merong chance na matuto. Kumbaga, walang pinipili. Bata man or matanda, employed man or unemployed. So that's the first one, access and inclusivity. Second one, quality and standardization. So ibig sabihin, dapat merong national plan. Dapat merong PQF. And dapat merong standards para sure tayo pagdating dun sa kalidad or dun sa quality na provide ng mga TESDA trainings or TESDA programs. Next one, aside from access and inclusivity, quality and standardization, pangatlo dito is yung industry relevance. 'Di ba? Dapat yung training na binibigay is laging konektado dun sa trabaho, 'di ba? Hindi lang basta-basta nagbigay si TESDA ng training. Kinakailangan is naka-align dun sa industry partners. Kinakailangan is naka-align dun sa kung ano nga ba yung hinihingi ng ating society when it comes to our work or when it comes to sa magiging trabaho natin. And then the last one, flexibility and innovation. Kumbaga, hindi lang sa classroom yung pagkatuto. Meaning to say, pwede tayong matuto through online, pwede sa work, and at the same time, pwede ring naka-base doon sa karanasan natin. So yan yung apat na goals ng TESDA issuances. Okay. So since we're done with TESDA, now kilalanin naman natin kung paano nga ba yung pagpaplanong ginawa ni CHED para i-implement yung kanilang program o yung kanilang educational program dito sa ating bansa. Okay. So first, issuance, we have here Republic Act number 7722 or the Higher Education Act of 1994. So this is the founding law of CHED. Okay, sabi dyan, this law created CHED as the regulatory body overseeing higher education in the Philippines. So under Section 8, CHED is empowered to formulate policies, development plans, and standards for higher education and research. It can also recommend budgets and standards, monitor institutions, advise on new colleges or universities, and manage funds like the Higher Education Development Fund. Okay, so under this law, so dito nagmula yung CHED or yung this is considered as the founding law of CHED bilang separate agency na hindi na siya under ng DepEd. And also, trabaho ni CHED or trabaho ng law na to na gumawa ng iba't ibang mga plano and policies upang mas maging maayos yung direction ng higher education and at the same time talagang siguraduhin na yung mga universities and colleges is naka-align dun sa pang-ekonomiya at dun sa panlipunang pangangailangan ng bansa. Kinakailangan is na-address yung economic and societal needs natin. And under din nito or kasama rin dito sa RA 7722 yung pagkakaroon ng pondo para sa faculty training, para makapagbigay ng scholarships, para sa research, and at the same time, yung quality assurance program. So lahat ng yan is under ng RA 7722. So yan si CHED or yung Commission on Higher education. Okay, next. The CHED Resolution number 6 to 95 or the Omnibus Rules and Regulations 1995. So under this resolution, it was issued pursuant to RA 7722. So this resolution sets detailed rules for the creation, conversion, or elevation of state schools into colleges or universities. So it defines criteria such as enrollment thresholds, faculty qualifications, and library resources, and emphasizes rationalization based on regional needs to avoid duplication. So dito naman, under ng CHED Resolution number 6 to 95, ito yung tinatawag nating operational guidelines for creating or expanding schools. So it is very clear that binanggit naman dyan that under this revolution, it explains how new colleges or universities can be created or converted. So kung gusto ng isang school na maging college or university, of course, kailangan nilang sumunod sa mga requirements. Kinakailangan nilang i-provide yung mga requirements bago sila ma-convert maybe into college or university. Of course, di ba, kinakailangan nilang magkaroon or kinakailangan is meron silang sapat na estudyante. Unang-una sa lahat, meron silang sapat na estudyante. Merong lisensyado at qualified na mga teachers or mga professors. And at the same time, meron dapat silang library at laboratory. And higit sa lahat is kayang tumayo or merong sapat na pondo to sustain or para dun sa sustainability dahil hindi naman basta-basta kasi yun hindi basta-basta yung pagpapatayo ng isang eskwelahan. So kinakailangan is kaya mong suportahan once you converted your institution maybe into college or into a university. Kinakailangan is sustainable. Merong sustainability. So that is CHED Resolution number 6 to 95. Okay, next. We have here Republic Act number 8292 or the Higher Education Modernization Act of 1997. So sabi dyan, this law further reformed governance of state universities and colleges or SUCs, ensuring more coordinated systems while guaranteeing academic freedom and aligning governance structures with modern standards. So, under this one or yung RA number 8292, ito yung tinatawag nating modernized SUC governance. So, ito yung ito yung nagbibigay ng modernong pamamahala para dun sa mga state universities and colleges natin. Kumbaga, under this law, meron tayong tinatawag na Board of Regents. So, dito na pumapasok si Board of Regents na kung saan mula dun sa budget hanggang dun sa academic programs, so sila yung may final say. Sila yung nagde-decide or sila yung gumagawa ng final decisions para sa isang institution or para sa isang college or university. Kumbaga, nang sa ganon is hindi maging magulo somehow yung sistema ng pamamahala dun sa isang institution. Kumbaga, merong nag-iisang governing body na merong final say when it comes to their budget hanggang dun sa academic programs. And that is Board of Regents. Okay. Next, Republic Act number 9744 or for specific university charters or pag sinabi nating RA 9744, ito yung tinatawag nating development plans and audits for SUCs. So under this one, this law applies to specific university charters, often establishing 5-year development plans, requiring management audits and imposing reporting obligations to CHED and Congress. So it also allows CHED to monitor compliance and recommend revocation of status if standards are not maintained. So under this Republic Act or under this RA 9744, para sa mga specific SUC sa ating bansa, kumbaga, kinakailangan nilang mag-submit ng plano kada 5 taon kung papaano nga ba sila mag-i-improve or mas magpa-progress pa bilang isang institution. Kumbaga, meron dapat silang sinasubmit na plano every 5 years. So, kasabay nito is yung audit, yung audit ng yung audit para mas sure or para mas masigurado na maayos yung pamamahala dun sa management. And of course, after masubmit, so si CHED naman ngayon yung magmo-monitor at magsasabi kung may kulang pa ba dun sa quality or ano pa ba yung kulang at pwedeng gawin or tama ba yung mga plano. So sila yung may final say doon. So that is RA number 9744. Okay, next. Republic Act number 10931 or the Universal Access to Quality Tertiary Education Act of 2017. So this law provides free tuition and exemption of certain fees in state and local universities and colleges, or SUCs and LUCs, plus subsidies for private HAIs. So CHED oversees the implementing rules and regulations, or IRR, and ensures proper implementation, including in student loan and subsidy programs. So under naman nito, ito yung tinatawag nating free tuition plus student financial aid. So ito yung batas na sponsored and authored ni Bam Aquino. Kumbaga, ito yung pagkakaroon ng free tuition and exemption fees dun sa mga LUCs natin and SUCs. So under this law, meron ding scholarships and subsidies na ino-offer para sa mga nasa private schools. And I think meron tayong ganito sa WCC. So si CHED mismo yung nagbabantay at nagsusupervise nung tamang paggamit ng pondo and yung tamang proseso ng scholarship. It could be via TES or tertiary education subsidy or yung UNIFAS. So actually, product ako ng 10931. So dun sa school namin dati nung college, sa CLSU, wala kaming binabayaran. And in fact, once na nakakuha ka ng mataas na grades, kumbaga, yung average mo is pumasok dun sa grade bracket ng university scholar and college scholar, meron kami nakukuhang additional fund or additional na pera dun sa cashier. Kumbaga, binibigay yon ng institution. So, ganun kaganda yung 10931. Kumbaga, wala ka nang ginagastos pero may sukli ka pa coming from your institution. So, that is 10931. So, thanks to Bam Aquino for sponsoring and authoring that kind of law. Okay, next. Republic Act number 10647 or yung tinatawag nating ladderized education system. So actually, nabanggit ko na to kanina. So since part pa rin siya ng CHED, so pasadahan ulit natin. Okay? So under this one, this law promotes a ladderized approach enabling TVET graduates to proceed to higher education. CHED, in coordination with TESDA and DepEd, ensures compliance. HAIs wishing to offer ladderized programs must submit curricula for monitoring and approval. So under this one, pathways from TVET to higher education. So dito, kung galing ka sa TESDA, tulad ng binanggit ko kanina, kung galing ka sa TESDA and meron kang certificate or skills, pwede mo yung makredit papunta dun sa college level nang sa ganon is hindi ka nauulit dun sa subjects na halos kapareho lang or kagaya lang nung na-take mo. Kaya nagkakaroon tayo ng ladderized program or ladderized pathway papuntang degree programs. So that is ladderized education. Kumbaga, yung pagpunta natin o yung pag-transfer natin ng units from technical vocational courses papunta dun sa units which is dun sa college level or dun sa higher education. Next, Republic Act number 11448 or the Transnational Higher Education or yung TNHA. Sabi dyan, applies to institutions offering foreign programs in the Philippines. So CHED ensures curricula conform to international standards, especially for top global universities. Quality metrics include curriculum innovation, research output, student diversity, graduation rates, and job placements. So dito naman, under ng RA 11448 or yung Regulation of Foreign Higher Educational Programs in the Philippines, so under this one or under this law, pwede lang pumasok yung mga top universities mula dun sa ibang bansa or mula dun sa abroad and then mag-offer ng programs dito sa atin. Pero kinakailangan, una sa lahat is dadaan muna sila kay CHED. Kumbaga, i-check muna ni CHED yung kanilang curriculum and quality. I-check ni CHED kung pasado ba siya sa international standards. And of course, yung pinaka-goal dito is para para mas maging competitive pa yung mga Filipino students natin worldwide. So that is the TNHE or RA 11448. Okay. So we're down to the last two Republic Acts. So next tayo, RA 11899 or yung tinatawag nating EDCOM 2 Creation and Education Sector Review. So this law established a National Review Commission to access education agencies like TESDA, DepEd, and CHED, focusing on performance gaps, sectoral quality, and proposing improvements, especially in aligning higher education with labor market needs. Okay. So under this one, it is also called a National Review of the Education Sector. Baga under this one, nagkakaroon ng EDCOM 2 para suriin kung ano nga ba yung kulang at dapat baguhin dun sa DepEd, dun sa TESDA, meron bang kailangang improve dun sa TESDA, dun sa CHED. And yung resulta, and yung magiging result nung pagsusuri na gagawin ng EDCOM or review is gagamitin para sa mas clear and long-term plan for education. And I think kamakailan lang is lumabas yung EDCOM 2 report. Umaga parang yung isa sa nakikita nilang problema is medyo medyo mahina daw yung foundation natin when it comes to basic education. Kumbaga, when it comes to literacy and numeracy. Parang yun ata yung nilalaman ng EDCOM 2 report natin. Okay, anyways, that is the RA 11899 or the EDCOM 2 creation. Okay, last one, Republic Act number 12124 or yung ATIAP. Actually, nabanggit na rin natin to kanina. Okay, so under this Republic Act, this recent law enhances CHED's ATIAP powers. So CHED can deputize HEIs, set assessment standards, grant or revoke ATIAP authority, monitor implementation, designate regional centers, and ensure alignment with RA 10931 or tuition free benefits for learners. So sabi ko nga kanina, under this law, kung may work experience ka at skills, pwede itong makredit sa college degree via AT-EAP. So si CHED, yung magsaset ng standards, so pipili ng schools na pwedeng mag-offer at mag-monitor. So sa ganitong way, talagang mas napapadali para sa working adults na makakuha ng degree. So those are the different issuances under ni Commission on Higher Education. So to sum it up, yung pinaka-focus areas ni CHED is for planning, for governance, for access, for quality, internationalization, and yung inclusivity. So si CHED at TESDA, sila yung mga ahensyang responsible dun sa higher education and at the same time dun sa TVET programs. Kaya meron silang mga legal basis na sinusunod. And yung mga batas and issuances na binanggit natin kanina is sila yung nagsisilbing gabay or foundation ng educational planning pagdating kay TESDA and CHED. And mas pinapalawak talaga nila yung access sa education, at the same time mas pinapataas yung quality and talagang sinisigurado na responsive yung system dun sa real world tulad ng work or yung trabaho, industry skills, and global standards. Kinakailangan is naka-align dun sa binanggit natin, which is yung trabaho, industry skills, and yung global standards. Kaya napakahalaga ng role na ginagampanan ng educational planning. Of course, without planning for education or educational planning, hindi magsasucceed yung educational sector dito sa ating bansa. So I think that ends up our report for the RA 9155, DepEd, CHED, and TESDA issuances for or in connection with educational planning. Thank you, sir. Doc, tapos na po.
Hello classmate, pwede bang makahingi kami ng copy ng inyong PowerPoint po sa GC? Ang hirap sa uluhin ng mga RA. Thank you po.
Sige po, ma'am.
Send na lang po namin, ma'am.
Thank you po. Thank you po.
Done na yung pairs group.
Yes po, Doc. Tapos
Yes
na po
po,
kami ni
Doc.
Sir Kanaway.
Tapos na po.
Okay, so thank you so much. Okay. So again, our presenter discussed about different legal basis for educational planning, no? So wherein to sum up, no, RA 9155, no, decentralized governance, no, schools to craft their own improvement plans while remaining accountable to national standard. It uh, redefines the school head, no, as instructional leader and administrative manager. So DepEd and test the issuance, no, DepEd issues orders and memoranda that translate RA 9155 to actionable policies covering curriculum standard, K-12, NTB, MLA, and teacher hiring guidelines in quality assurance framework, no. For technical vocational education, TESDA govern through training regulations and competency-based standards. School heads must plan facilities, budget, and faculty qualification to meet TESDA NC requirements and qualify as accredited centers, no? In the Commission on Higher Education are the minimum curriculum standards, faculty qualification requirements, and outcomes-based education frameworks for every degree program. So planning at the college or university level must therefore incorporate CMO mandates, program outcomes, research expectation, and continuous quality improvement through accreditation bodies. No? CHED also releases memoranda on flexible learning, internationalization, and research ethics, no? Guiding administrator to integrate global trends while meeting national goals, no? So thank you to our presenter for that thorough presenters, no, for that thorough presentation. So let me wrap up the key insights, no? RA 9155 established the legal architecture of school-based management, giving principals and schools heads the autonomy and responsibility to craft improvement plans, manage resources, and lead instructional quality while being accountable for learner outcome. TESDA and DepEd issuance operationalize the law of wait. Pakisaksak lobat. No. This one. Turn on. Yung ano yung puti. Okay na to. Dulo, yeah. Okay. So lobat, sorry. So TESDA and DepEd issuance operationalize that law, no? DepEd ensures that basic education planning aligns with national curriculum and teacher standards, while TESDA requires competency-based training plans that match evolving labor market demands, making education both relevant and employment focused. So CHED CMOs provide the higher education counterpart, no, detailing curricular frameworks, faculty qualification, and research expectations. So they ensure that institutional plans remain outcomes-based and globally competitive. So across this agency, no, a common thread emerged, no, evidence-based, participatory, and accountable planning. Whether within a public high school, a TESDA accredited training center, or CHED regulatory college, our strategy must integrate these legal requirements with our vision for student success. As a future educational manager or somebody maybe is at present as a dean, program head, or principal, our challenge is to transform these legal mandates into living documents, school improvement plans, curriculum maps, and faculty development programs that genuinely uplift learning communication. Okay? So I think that's it for topic number 1.